Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from Gruesome, Silent Echoes, out June 6 on Relapse Records. The album has 8 tracks, 33 minutes in length, and this is the band's third full-length studio. Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from Gruesome, Silent Echoes, out June 6 on Relapse Records. The album has 8 tracks, 33 minutes in length, and this is the band's third full-length studio album. They are an American progressive death metal band. Now, before you perhaps even press play on this record, or maybe you don't know the band very well, or you don't know what to expect, I have to mention that this album is an 100% homage to the record Human by Death. You're gonna find the comparisons between the two uncanny. You're gonna find them in the sound, you're gonna find them in the production, you're gonna find them in the vocals, and you're even gonna find them in the overall album design. The two records have so many similarities just from a design standpoint that really brings the overall idea and concept behind this record to life in a very clear way. I love the fluidity of the album. The two have a very similar flow, a very similar dynamic internal mechanisms. Both records even have an instrumental track almost coming in the exact same spot. So it's a design that enhances what the album wants to be, or what the album wants to be compared with. And I think that is a great approach for an album like this because it brings it all together perfectly. I love the design from that standpoint. It gave me a sense of familiarity, and it matched that same familiarity that I found in the sound. And the sound that has that technical side, that progressive side, but also a more mature, straightforward, heavy death metal sound. The production on this record is what you have to go to first and foremost when you talk about the overall sound of the record, because the production on this album matches the same style and the same attributes as the production on Human had. So that is your starting point. This album feels like it's been in a capsule. It feels actually like a brand new death record that had just been discovered, but it was recorded many moons ago. So I love the production factor on this record because it brings the overall idea of creating that homage to life. Without the production matching the same production as Human had, it would be very difficult for this album to resonate with the fans, not just the fans of Gruesome, but the fans of Death. So I think this is the starting point. Having the right production, the right output, creating the right sound in your guitars, in your drums, in your bass, and even where the vocals sit on the mix, it has the same attributes as we saw on Human by Death. So this album starts off on the right note from a production standpoint. Then once you move into the sound, I love that ability to start off a track either with a more aggressive, more straightforward, simple, if you will, death metal driven sound with a little bit of a swampy nature to it, because Florida death metal had always that sort of DNA in its own sound, in its own existence. And then you add some more technical, some more progressive elements, allowing the songs to become hybrids. There's no song on this record that follows this very specific format. Every song sound-wise on this album has its own internal dynamics, it has its own internal struggles, its own internal journey. And that is something that was true in Human by Death, and it's also something that's true here. But it's done in such a seamless way. You know, the songs don't feel choppy, the songs don't feel abrupt. There's this seamless flow between genres, between styles. This hybrid format is alive and well throughout the whole record, and there's a lot of elements that contribute to it outside of the production. This album, guitar-wise, sounds amazing. It's an absolute clinic top to bottom. You could look at it, the heavier side, the more simpler side approach, it's there but executed really well. And then the more technical, the more progressive side, not pushing the elements too far out into a progressive realm that would be very difficult to swing them back and connect them with that more straightforward sound, but taking you enough on a journey, far enough from that beaten path, but always finding a way of bringing you back into it. I love the overall guitar execution on this album, extremely well done. Then when you get into the drums have size, they have substance, they add some width to the songs, but overall I felt like it was important to keep the drums slightly behind the guitar so that the guitars become the main focus. the main lifeline, if you will, of the entire album. So they sit behind it, giving it enough strength to the overall sound. Certain tracks you do feel a little bit more heaviness coming out of the drum sound, but overall they're there in order to complement the experience and allow the guitars to have the center stage. I also enjoy the bass sound on this album. I thought the bass sound, specifically in the mix, sits really well because it adds, it really helps the guitars jump out when it comes to the more technical and progressive side of their sound. The bass almost emphasizes or sharpens the edges of what the guitar sound and what the guitar experience is already there to do. So the bass allows those moments to become a lot more noticeable and a lot better defined. And I think the combination of what the guitars are doing and what the bass is providing really allows those moments within the songs to have almost a life of their own. Once you come into the vocals, I love the vocal style, I love the vocal delivery. Perfect for this record, perfect for this style, for this sound. And if I didn't know better, if anybody played me a track of this record, I would be tempted to say that it's Chuck on vocals. There are certain moments within this record that it sounds like Chuck on vocals. So even in the vocal delivery, even in the vocal style, in the approach, in the mix, you see a lot of the album Human represented on this record. When you put it all together, this album is going to resonate with the fans of Gruesome, is going to resonate with the fans of death metal, and it's definitely going to resonate with the fans of death. 5 stars on this record. Just absolutely flawless execution for what the band wanted to create with this record. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start with Frailty. First of all, I love the bass sound on this track, but I could say that about every track on the album. But this one, I really enjoyed the bass sound because it helped the technical and the progressive side of the guitar sound, something that I mentioned before. On this song, it becomes super noticeable, the impact that one has in the other. It almost like it helps find room for what the guitars need to do. And this track also has some more driven guitar sounds, some more compact guitar sounds, and it also has some more moments within the guitar sound where things expand a little bit more. So this makes for a very super dynamic track all around, alternating between the simple and the complex. The vocals add consistency to the track, and then the song has this killer solo section, really old school, very extended, but beautiful, putting the perfect bow on this entire song, just wrapping it up perfectly. Next you have Shards. Shards is a more driven song. It still has progressive pockets within it, but it's a track that just feels at times a little bit more straightforward, a little bit more to the point, perhaps a little bit more narrow because of it, but still finding moments of complexity within that straightforwardness of its own sound. The two coexist in perfect harmony from beginning to the end. It's a track that really showcases, it gives a little bit more focus to the heavier side, even though the progressive and technical side are still there. I think this is one song that when you get to the end of the song, the progressive nature of the track enhanced the texture of the song, but the song kind of leaves you feeling like it was more straightforward and it was more of a traditional death metal song all along, even though that's not the case, but that's the impression that the song leaves you with. Another track with great bass sound, another track with an incredible solo section. I mean, those two elements become a staple across each and every single song. Great bass sound, great solos. Last but definitely not least, Reason Denied. This is the closing song on the album, and to me, it's an absolute guitar clinic top to bottom. You could look at the progressive side of the song, the technical side, the heavier side, the solos, the melodies, the sound experience, the execution. Everything about this song is guitars. I feel like the guitars were the main course as far as this track is concerned. Not to take anything away from vocals, from the bass, from the drums, but to me this was an absolute guitar clinic that comes at the end of the record. It puts an exclamation mark on the album and it tells you that you need to listen to it again. That's what this song does to the listener. It gives you that feel that it was so good. It had such great guitar sound all around. I don't want the album to end now. Let me go back to the beginning. Let me start all over again. Great track to finish off a great record. This is it. Gruesome with Silent Echoes, out June 6 on Relapse Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band. Hit me up in the comment section. I'll see you all at the next one. Take care, guys.